Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I gotta use. Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Paul, Paul, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. Hands full, rather. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Paul.
We're live right now. I'm just counting it down, so just so you know.
Okay.
Okay. Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 1 minute. Okay, Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 30 seconds. Okay, everyone, we're going to start the show here in just a few seconds. Hi, everyone. This is Patrick Palucci with Slooh Space Camera. Thank you for joining us on December 11th at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. We're here to track potentially hazardous asteroid Toutatis. I want to make sure I pronounce that right. I have been practicing.
That's right. That's right.
I think I got it right. What we're going to be doing is this particular asteroid is, for those of you who don't know, is currently orbiting our solar system. Is that right, Bob and Mike? Do I got that right? It's in our solar system.
Orbiting the sun. Right. That's right. Orbiting the sun.
Excellent. Excellent. So what we're going to be doing is we're monitoring and tracking this object live from our Canary Islands facility. If you're currently watching this in the YouTube Hangout box, either on YouTube or on Google+. The main presentation is actually on slooh.com. That's slooh.com. That's where you can get a lot of the live feeds. I know Paul has got, let's see here, he's screen sharing it in right now. You can see the imagery right here, but it's not going to be as clear in this environment. So what I recommend is you go to slooh.com to check it out. At times through the show, we will be bringing it in, but Paul will also be presenting himself and talking about what we're looking at. So the best place to be watching this is on slooh.com, just to give you a heads up. So if you're going to be watching it in the Hangout, you won't always see the asteroid itself. Before we get going here, we're showing this live from the Canary Islands facility. That's off the coast of Africa, for those of you who don't know where that is. And it's our own facility at slooh.com. And our members who join actually get the opportunity to control this facility to view space live. So it's Slooh's been around since 2003, and we do put on shows like this actually weekly, and in some cases daily, where we show the public what's going on out in both the solar system but deep sky. And we wanted to cover this object in particular because it's making, every 4 years it comes back in and whizzes by Earth, and it is listed as a potentially hazardous object because it could, in theory, and tell me if I'm wrong, Bob, it could hit Earth sometime down the road. You know, it might be hundreds of years from now. I guess we don't know exactly for sure. I think we're safe for now, but we wanted to definitely highlight this one because it's so big and it is relatively close to Earth. So what we're going to be doing is I want to first introduce our guests and participants in today's show. We have with us Bob Berman, longtime Slooh friend, but for those of you who subscribe to Astronomy Magazine, you might know him from all his great articles. Bob is a very, he's been with Slooh for many, many years, working with us on a lot of different projects. If you went to visited our Tolar Solar Eclipse broadcast, Bob was on site in Australia broadcasting in, so it's always a pleasure to have Bob on. We also have Paul Cox, who's our Slooh Outreach Coordinator. He's actually commanding the Slooh scopes right now, providing us the live feeds that you're seeing on slooh.com. So, Bob, first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about this particular asteroid? What are we looking at today, and why is it so significant?
Well, Toutatis is the one that's just passing past us tonight. We're going to have 2 shows before that happens, before its closest approach. Closest approach will be several times farther from us than the Moon. Nonetheless, much closer, a small fraction of the distance to the nearest planets. This is, you said it correctly, a potentially hazardous asteroid because it passes us every 4 years and has an orbit that's strangely in the same plane, the same flat pancake-like plane as Earth's orbit around the Sun. So it seems to cross the face of the Sun from our perspective and passes closely to us. It has a resonance with us, a 4-to-1 resonance, which means it's actually gravitationally bound up with us. But this week is Asteroid Week. We had a smaller object whiz past us this morning, and in just 2 days from now, the Geminid meteor shower will light up Earth's skies with as much as a meteor a minute coming from yet another asteroid. That asteroid's called Phaethon. So it's really kind of worlds in collision here, where we have pieces of asteroids that will move through the Earth's atmosphere 2 days from now, and this one much larger, fully 3 miles across. That one would be a major ouch. It's fully half the size of the asteroid that destroyed half of the life forms on Earth 65 million years ago. So this is a very exciting time to be kind of ducking and watching the objects whizzing past Earth.
Yeah, and guys, just to highlight, Paul Cox is manning our scopes. He's in the center box. Paul, I had to mute your mic for now because of the keyboard work that you're doing in commanding the scopes. But just come on when you can if you want to talk about the feeds that we're looking at. If you were looking at this presentation in the Hangout or in YouTube, you're going to see bits and pieces of stuff that we're going to provide. But the main broadcast is on slooh.com at slooh.com. That's where you'll get the live feeds, the channel select, the different feeds that we provide, and you also get to see this panel interact with each other. So that's where you want to watch the actual event. But we will screen share in here and there the asteroid going through space. Now, I'm looking at it right now. Paul, I don't know if you can get on because I know you're really busy with what you're doing there commanding, but I'm looking at the T2 high mag telescope view right now. I'm seeing an amazing bright dot in the center of the reticle viewer. Bob, I don't know if you're seeing that as well, but if you are, what we're looking at right here is a live image from the Canary Islands of this object whizzing through space, and this is actually pretty bright. This is like definitely one of the bigger asteroids that we have tracked over this year at least, and you can see the star trails in the view right now. I'm going to switch. I don't know if there's anything in the other half-meter telescope view. I'm going to look at that as well and see.
There is.
Paul, why don't you tell us what you got going here?
Well, as you say, we've got the T2 high mag telescope view. So people looking on the home page, what we're doing there is we're tracking at the asteroid's rate. So the white dot in the center of the image, or near the center of the image, that's the actual asteroid. And as you say, people who have watched previous shows for asteroids, this is really bright in comparison. But because we're tracking at the asteroid's rate, we see the background stars as those little white lines. Now, these images are 120 seconds long, 2 minutes long, so that's how far the asteroid is moving against the background of stars in 2 minutes. We've also got the half-meter telescope view set up, so people on the home page, you click on that feed, and you can just see there in the center of the screen, we've got a little white line, followed by a little red and green and blue line. And this one is tracking at what's called sidereal rate. So this is really tracking the stars as Earth rotates. So what we're seeing there is the long line, the white, red, green, and blue line is the actual asteroid. That's Toutatis actually moving across the background stars. And it's different colors like that because of the different images we take. We take images through filters, and we take a long luminance, that's the white line, and then we take a short red, green, and blue filter, and that's why we see those particular lines. We've got the all-sky camera view in there just to show us what the sky conditions are like tonight. It's very well placed for us at this particular time. It's almost at transit, which means it's about as high as in the sky as it's going to get tonight for us from Tenerife. That's where the observatory is. And I've also put in here, we can't image these things, even though this is pretty big, we can't image it so that we see detail of it. It's too small for that, even with the most powerful telescopes. But what you can do is you can get images and build up images through radar. And Goldstone and Arecibo are both imaging it tonight. And in that particular image feed there, that's a Goldstone radar image from 1996. When this particular asteroid Toutatis came by. And then I've just got a little animation there. This is made up of the radar images. This is just showing the kind of shape of Toutatis, and also it has a very strange rotation.
Yes.
The way it spins, it doesn't really seem to be spinning around its own center of gravity, and they think this might be caused by there's a kind of frequency that Toutatis works in conjunction with Jupiter, and that also affects actually how the shape of its orbit as well. So maybe Bob might talk about that when I grab us some more live images.
Yes, it's a very, very, very odd object, because even though it's listed as having a spin, a rotation of 5.38 days, in truth, it's tumbling chaotically, so that if you were living on this asteroid, you'd have the sun would rise and set in unpredictable places. It would not repeat where it rises and sets. And as Paul just suggested, this has to do with probably impacts with other objects. Just the mere shape of it, you can see it looks rather like a giant piece of ginger root. Those of you who are into cooking, Oriental cooking, Indian culinary delights, you might use ginger root, and this looks like a giant piece of ginger, or perhaps an odd-looking Idaho potato. But it's certainly not a round object. We would not expect it to be, because it's 3 miles across, and so walking from one end to the other would take about an hour to do at a normal walking pace. Now, this is half the size of the object that so changed Earth's history 65 million years ago, and actually gave us a leg up, us mammals, let us become a dominant species on the planet thanks to the impact of an asteroid only twice the size of this. So this could do us major damage if it hit us. Fortunately, it's not even coming as close as the moon. But fantastically, earlier today, Paul, and do you know anything about that? There was an asteroid discovered just 2 days ago that already just zoomed past us, only about 100 feet in diameter, much smaller than Toutatis is, but it passed less than well, about half the distance to the moon through us. So this is really...
Well, we are, Bob, interestingly, there are two others as well. About 2 hours after the closest approach of Toutatis tonight, there are two other smaller asteroids making their closest approach, and they've only been found over the recent weeks. Now, later on, in the show later on, when Toutatis is set from the Canary Islands Observatory, Matt Francis in Arizona is going to be providing us with some live images of Toutatis. And from the Canary Islands Observatory, we're going to be looking at these two other much smaller asteroids, but actually they're moving across the sky incredibly quickly, and that's because of how close they are to the Earth. So we'll have more information about that later on tonight.
And then I want to emphasize, and I'm going to say this periodically during this show too, Bob Berman here again from Astronomy Magazine, that another day and a half after that, the asteroid Phaethon, which has shed particles like debris from an overloaded gravel truck or garbage truck. These particles are going to be streaming into our atmosphere, actually colliding with Earth. Most of them only the size of an apple seed or a raisin, but they will be colliding with Earth at 22 miles per second, and we should see that night, Thursday night. Everybody who has clear skies, especially after 10 p.m., we should see at least one streak per night from wherever you live, especially if you're outside the lights of town, which is the debris from yet another asteroid. So this is really the week for near collisions and actual collisions with Earth. It's interesting that this is happening just 10 days or so before the make-believe end of the world thing that Slooh will also be covering.
Yeah, guys, if you're watching this on the Google Plus Hangout or YouTube, the main presentation where you can control the live feeds are on slooh.com. Paul Cox just actually screen shared in where you can watch some of the live feeds we're pulling from the Canary Islands Observatory right now. What we're showing you in the Hangout is actually something else. So you can see the live feeds of what we call our T2 High Mag telescope and our T1 telescope right on the homepage of Slooh, and you also get the presentation you're seeing here today as well. So we will screen share in from time to time, but you won't get a very clear view because of the way the streaming works in Google Plus. So the best views are going to be on slooh.com.
Yeah, and just to point that out, Pat, people on the homepage who are viewing on the homepage, you'd never see this in the Hangout. But if you look at the half-meter telescope view at the moment, the line there is Toutatis as it moves against background stars. But just down here, you can see a little smudgy patch at about the 4:30 position in the reticle, in the round circle. Everything that's in the round circle is our live images tonight. And you can just see a little galaxy there. And there's no way you'd pick that out on the screen share in the Hangout. So go to the homepage. As Pat says, you still get to see the Hangout, and that's embedded within the homepage. But you get to see the live images, and you can also flick between them. So you can choose which telescope you're actually looking at.
And one other thing I want to bring up is there's a Slooh conversation box. That's the box we monitor. If you want to ask Bob or myself or Paul a question, just open that box up and go ahead and type it in. So you'll be able to ask questions right to the panel using that box. We do not monitor the YouTube channel box or the conversation box there. So
point out Pinterest as well.
Yeah, if you want to pin a photo from any of our shows, you can do that for your own boards. That's fine. You can do that right out. We have a way you can do that. If you want to keep in touch with our upcoming shows, follow us on Twitter or Facebook, things like that. You can be updated on when we go live. We do have another presentation tonight of this asteroid as well as some other asteroids that Paul was talking about earlier. And the last thing I want to bring up is we are offering a free telescope today for members who join for a yearly or 2-year membership. And I will make a commitment to get those shipped to you prior to the Christmas holiday. But so it's a one-day only a thing. You have to sign up for a yearly 2-year membership, and it's for the telescope. Telescope must be shipped within the United States, and it's plus shipping and handling, of course. But it's an amazing deal that we've worked out with Meade. It's a really nice scope. And so if you haven't joined Slooh before, please consider it. It helps fund all the programming we produce for free to the public worldwide, but also you get an extra benefit of controlling our observatories in the Canary Islands, as well as interacting with space enthusiasts worldwide. Now, Bob, getting back to, I think everyone likes to know, this is a pretty big asteroid. Is this one of the biggest that comes by Earth that we know about? Do you know?
Well, yes. There's going to be one of a size that's not dissimilar in 2029. The asteroid Apophis, which on Friday the 13th of April in that year, Pat, is going to skim much closer than this. That's the one that, thank goodness, is not happening in 10 days on the December 21st thing, because everybody would surely pad that into the end of the world. That one's going to be coming closer than the 22,300 miles of our geosynchronous television satellites, and and then a few years later, in 2036, there's even a small chance, meaning 1 in about 250,000 of it colliding. So objects of this size are kind of rare. As Paul just pointed out, asteroids smaller than this coming even closer are less rare. A little bit of history about this. It was first seen, Toutatis was first seen way back in 1934. Then it was promptly lost, and nobody had a good enough orbit at that time. It was reacquired in 1989 and then given a Celtic name. People cannot get objects named after them except for comets. Comet is the only celestial body that if you're the first to discover it, it'll bear your name. And then it was picked up again this past May at Siding Spring Observatory. Paul, I don't know if you know this, but I just hung out with Rob McNaught for a day out in Australia. And that
must have been fascinating. He is a fascinating guy to talk to.
He is, and a very modest guy. This is a fellow who has found more comets than any other living person. Something like 76 comets in his lifetime have borne the name Comet McNaught. And when people ask him about a particular Comet McNaught, he just blushes. He's a very shy guy. But at his observatory, Siding Spring, the major observatory of Australia, this object, Toutatis, was reacquired, seen for the first time as it came back on this visit. You know, periodically...
Are they still going to be closed down, Bob?
Well, he's worried about his, not the observatory itself, but his job of tracking.
Yeah, as part of the Catalina Sky Survey, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's what he's concerned about. And Toutatis, you know, we're getting so close to that Mayan end of the world thing that it should be mentioned that in 2004, this very asteroid, Toutatis, was involved with quite a bit of cult activity of people who thought, when it came near that year, because it does come close to us every 4 years, it has a resonance with Earth, that back in 2004, people thought it would collide and produce an end of the world. So there was a minor doomsday or Armageddon fear revolving around this very asteroid that we at Slooh here are tracking tonight. And you're going to see for yourself whether or not it hits us. I can tell you it won't, but you'll see it for yourself. I think that's one of the appeals about Slooh, is that people were not, associated with the government, or so people who think the government will lie to them, which it never does about science, astronomy things. But people who think that it does, you can come to Slooh and see for yourself that there's the asteroid, and it is indeed passing safely by, but rather close by.
Hey, Paul, people are asking, how fast is this thing going? Do you know, Paul or Bob?
Yes, it's got a relative velocity, this one, of 5.75 kilometers per second. That's something like it's nearly 13,000 miles per hour.
Yes, that's about 3 miles per second, and that when Paul says that's relative, that means it's moving around the sun, we're moving around the sun, and what's left over from it. And the reason only 3 miles per second, when its actual speed through space is closer to 19 miles per second, is because we happen to be both moving in somewhat the same direction, Earth and and Toutatis. Not exactly, but it's not a head-on collision. If it were, we'd be meeting at something closer to 35 miles a second instead of 3 miles a second. So we're flying through space more or less together.
Right. So if you guys are watching this, just so you know, you can also watch our shows on your iOS or Android devices. If you call up the pages, you'll see that you can watch them live at any time. And the next show is counting down. Right now, we have another show tonight planned where we will be tracking this same asteroid live from from Arizona. I wanted to say Australia, Arizona, and we'll also be tracking this from the couple different asteroids from the Canary Islands. So please come back and watch the other show. We'll have Matt Francis from Prescott Observatory joining us as well, and it should be an interesting show. There's a lot of questions coming in, Bob, so I will try to look at the Slooh conversation window right now. But Bob, why don't you give us an idea? Because I believe the one that killed off the dinosaurs was about 6 miles wide.
Yeah.
What would something like this that's this big do to Earth? Would this still be an extinction event, do you think, or what would happen?
Well, it has to do with two factors. One is the mass of the object. This is half the size, which would probably indicate about 1/8 of the mass. But more importantly is the impact speed. And with a relative speed of only 3 miles per second, I don't want to downplay it. This would definitely depress property values if it hit LA, where Pat is right now. But this is very different from an object that comes in at, let's say the speed of the meteorites that have hit us in the past, which can be up to almost 40 miles per second. The formula for kinetic energy, that is how dangerous, how much of an impact it is mass times the velocity squared. So speed is more important than size in this case. Size does matter, but speed matters more. And this is a relatively slow-moving asteroid so far as that goes. So if you're going to get hit with anything...
It would leave a scratch, wouldn't it, Bob?
Yes. But if you're going to get hit with some asteroid, I would pick this one over over many of the other ones that we've had. This one's
and
also
as you say,
made of
preferably LA, where Pat is, rather than further down where you are, Bob, or certainly the UK. So
Thanks,
I like the way you slipped that in, the location.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys' support on that.
Now also,
so yeah,
I was going to say that we have asteroids, some of them that are made of more metals, and this is of what's called a Type S. So it's more made of it's more of a stony object, made of silicates. And one of the reasons, a way you can tell, is that it has its reflectivity is relatively high. We use the fancy word albedo for how shiny an object is. This has an albedo of 0.13, which is dark, but it actually is very similar to the moon's albedo. So if you saw this asteroid in front of you, it would appear just about exactly as bright as the moon would, compared to some of the darker asteroids that have albedos closer to that of coal.
Wow. So if you're just joining us, if you're watching this presentation in the YouTube channel of Slooh or on our Google Plus Hangout page, the best place to view it is actually on slooh.com. Paul will be periodically sharing in our page here and there, but if you go to the slooh.com homepage, you can actually channel select the different feeds we're providing and still get this main broadcast. So please go there. That's also where we monitor the conversation box. We do also have in box number 2 below this Hangout box on the slooh.com homepage an orbit diagram provided by NASA JPL, so you can see how it's orbiting the solar system in relation to the Earth. And it does a return every 4 years. And I know back in what year was that? Was that 89 or no 2004? Yeah, 2004 when it came by Earth a lot closer than it is right now. So do we know, you guys, when it comes back every 4 years, is there we're feeling like we're pretty safe? Is there anything that could change that, Bob? If this thing could get a little bit closer to Earth, or is it going to keep moving away from Earth, or how do you track this thing?
Neither. We're not seeing any in the course of our lifetimes. We're not seeing any collision with this one. there are collisions with much smaller objects. I mentioned that on Thursday night, we will actually collide with the remnants of an asteroid named Phaethon, with little pieces from it. Will be harmless because they'll burn up in the atmosphere, but you'll be able to see, that is all of us, especially those who live in the country outside of cities, be able to see a meeting in space at 22 miles a second. You know, we're talking about some 7 times faster than Toutatis is meeting us with some other fragments. The reason it's called a potentially hazardous asteroid is because it's less than 1/20th of the Sun-Earth distance. It's close to us. Its diameter is greater than 100 meters. That's the definition. And there's about 5,000 of these objects, of which we think we only know about 1/4 of them. So 3/4 of them can sneak up on us, and they do sneak up on us. This year in particular, followers of Slooh, followers know that we have been showing you asteroids that have been recently discovered or discovered some time ago, just passing Earth at very close distances, and we're tracking them, and we run these shows whenever we know they're going to be crossing us. And this one is tonight. This will be the closest approach.
Yeah, you know, it's fascinating watching this, guys. Just so you know, we are actually providing a special offer today only, for this asteroid. If you click the membership link on slooh.com, anyone who signs up for a yearly or 2-year membership will have the opportunity to have a quality Meade telescope shipped to them prior to the holiday. It must ship to a U.S. residence, but we will commit to getting it there prior to the Christmas holiday. And so please consider it. The membership not only gives you a chance to support our live program that we do, but also you get a chance to command the same telescopes in the Canary Islands. Slooh's been around since 2003. We have a robust membership, worldwide membership, and they interact every day. So if you have any passing interest in space, it's a great community to be a part of. But you're also supporting the live program that we do, and we do shows frequently. You can already see them counting down. We're going to have some fun next week with the End of the World program that we're going to be putting together.
Fun with the End of the World. That sounds it.
Yes. We're going to have some fun with it, with solar scope stuff. We're going to go hunt for Nibiru, you know, Planet X. You know, we're not a government agency, so we're going to show the world what's happening out there. That's what we do at Slooh, and we have patented technology that brings this all to you in real time and live. So that's that's what we do. Please consider membership if you're looking for a last-minute gift for someone. It's a great gift idea for anyone who's got any passing interest in space. But in addition to that, you do get this telescope to play around with, to maybe point at a few objects in the solar system, at the moon, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's an offer we do every so often, and we're going to do this one today, given the interest in this particular event. So please consider it. That'd be great. So Bob,
Pat, can I just butt in there, because if people on the homepage look at the T2 High Mag telescope view at the moment, and actually there's a small object showing just below the asteroid, and it's a point source. Now, it might just be some kind of hit, but this is a 220-second exposure. That's an interesting little artifact to pop up on there. So we'll check that out and maybe discuss that on the Slooh Facebook group a little bit later. So you can see the white asteroid right in the center, the white lines in the background of the stars kind of trailing behind, but just below the asteroid Toutatis, you can actually see a small white blob. So that's we'll have a look at that, and we'll have a look at the raw images a little bit later. Sorry to interrupt that.
Yeah, no problem. So if you are watching this event in the YouTube channel or Google+, you know, one of the reasons why we're not screen sharing it in is because the best presentation for this is on the homepage. It's hard to see these asteroid events in particular on Google+, because they kind of low-res it to make it stream. So go to slooh.com. You still get us talking in the panel and all that, but you can at least see the high-quality images there, and you can control the feeds. So that's what we're doing with this particular event today. So Bob, these asteroids, now you mentioned something. Maybe you could tell us really quick, if you know, or Paul, the difference between what a near-Earth asteroid is and a potentially hazardous asteroid, because there is 2 different types of classifications, right, guys?
There's more than just 2.
There's more than 2. So then educate me on it. What is it that? What are the different categories? Maybe Paul, if you know, can you share your knowledge on it, or what?
I don't have the classification limits in front of me, Pat, and they're more complex for my memory to hold on to. So, Bob, have you got it?
Yeah, it used to be just near Earth objects, NEOs, objects that would pass nearby, and in the last few years, we've added extra categories, PHAs, potentially hazardous objects. These have to be of a minimum size, 100 meters. They have to come closer than a 20th of the Earth-Sun distance, or an astronomical unit. But when we're talking about hazardous objects, I want to quickly say, add to what Pat just said before about our end of the world coverage. Of course, we have our tongue in cheek when we say we'll be here to bring you the end of the world, but we're doing something that nobody else is doing, and that is we're going to show you. We're not going to just poo-poo it and say, oh, it can't happen, nor are we saying that Nibiru, or whatever the name of that supposed planet, we're going to really look for it and see if it's real. The truth is, we are going to show you the plane of the ecliptic. We'll show you the positions of the other planets. If there was an intruder there, the planets would be perturbed. They would not be where they're exactly supposed to be. So we're going to bring you the planetary plane to see if anything is there. We're going to bring you solar images to see, because some of the so-called theories about the Mayan calendar ending is that it's going to be accompanied by eruptions on the sun. So we'll actually have solar telescopes and solar astronomers monitoring the sun, looking for eruptions, and there may well be eruptions in the forms of flares or prominences, or perhaps even CMEs, coronal mass ejections. People who have read The Sun's Heartbeat know about this, that the sun is erupting, but is it erupting in an unusual way?
Did I hear The Sun's Heartbeat? Is that, Bob? Is that your book by chance that you wrote about the sun? Here it is. I'm putting it in. I'm going to put it on the main screen here so people can see it. Yeah, Bob is an author of many books. If you, I highly recommend this book. I actually have read it myself. It's called The Sun's Heartbeat. Please, that's another good holiday gift as well, in addition to the Slooh membership. So take a look at it. You can buy it at all major bookstores and or Amazon, of course. So
bless your two-chambered heart for that, Pat. But
sure. Also, again, you can also get these great Slooh Space Camera T-shirts I'm modeling right now. I don't know if I'm the best model for them, but these are available at Zazzle. You can look them up and buy them.
And you know what else the Slooh is going to be doing for the December 21st end of the world? We're going to have equipment monitoring Earth's magnetic field. We're going to have a webcam on that to see if Earth's magnetic field shows any unusual vagaries or changes on it. So we're really going to be looking at all these so-called anomalies that were supposedly going to accompany the Mayan calendar and show you them. And then, you know, if something is going to happen, you know, none of us really expect it to, but if something is going to happen, you're going to see it first here, because we're not affiliated with any organization. We have no axe to grind. And after all, if it is the end of the world, you want to be the first to know about it and call your friends.
And I think, Bob, what's important is there's a lot of academic snobbery around. We're not just going to say, as you said, you know, these things don't exist. That question's ridiculous. We're going to explain to people why, and we're going to illustrate it with live images and live data. Hey, listen, I just wanted to butt in just to say that, that on the half-meter telescope view on the home page, there's a comet there at the moment. It's comet 262P McNaught Russell, and I only popped that in there because the asteroid now is at transit, so the half-meter telescope can't quite point to that particular position. We've still got on the T2 high mag view the asteroid Toutatis showing up really well, but just have a look on the home page. That half-meter telescope view is of a comet, and I popped that in there actually, Bob, just because I know some people get a little bit confused. What's the difference between a comet and an asteroid? So yes, maybe that's a good little segue for that.
Oh, it really is, and especially appropriate because we mentioned Rob McNaught, the world's leading comet finder. There have been some great comet hunters, like David Levy is very notable in our own country, but there is one of the many comet McNaughts. He's found so many of them, all from Australia, from the Siding Spring Observatory, and there is yet another one. The difference is that a comet is a a ball of ice, dirty ice. It's got dust embedded within the ice, typically 10, 20, 30 miles across. And when the comet comes close enough to the sun, I'd like to say the ice melts, but you can't have liquid in space, so the ice doesn't melt. It goes directly into a gas. That's right, it's sublime. Isn't that a wonderful word?
It is a wonderful word, isn't it?
It sublimates. And you know something? I don't believe in Britain you get much snow there where you are, Paul, but here certainly in the rural mountains of the Northeast, when you have a pile of snow that perhaps the plows have pushed, and you get a sunny day, you'll see it looks like steam rising from the pile of snow. Now that's a case of sublimation, where the ice is going directly, some of the snow goes directly from a solid to a gas. It bypasses liquid altogether. Of course, under the pile of snow, you'll see some liquid also. But some of the snow will go from solid to gas. Well, in space, with a comet, all of it goes from a solid to a gas, and then the solar wind blows on this tail like an airport windsock, and the result is a tail that's often 1,000,000 miles or long in length, like Comet Ison that we're expecting for next year, which could be the greatest comet of our lives, a comet where the tail stretches across a big piece of the sky. So that's a comet. An asteroid, no, there is no tail there. There is no water. There's no chance of ices turning into gas. Here we're talking about metals, stones, silicates, nickel, iron, hard things. And that's why when people find a meteorite, or if you send away for a specimen, if you'd like a meteorite for your own home, the meteorite is always made of a piece of an asteroid, never a piece of a comet, whereas meteor showers are always pieces of comets. So those famous Perseid meteor showers every August 11th, the Geminid August 13th, although that's a strange case, the Leonids every November 17th. I said August, I meant December 13th to 14th for the Geminids, November 18th for the Leonids. These are chunks of comets. But what we're seeing tonight, what's just missing Earth, is a asteroid. So very different material.
That's great, Bob. I couldn't help smiling when you said, you can order an asteroid or a piece of an asteroid. And I was just thinking, best probably not to select express delivery. Yeah. I have this vision of it kind of plummeting through your roof.
So guys, if you're just joining us, we're doing a live feed. Paul, is T2 High Mag, did the image change there? Is that something else that we're looking at, or is that the same?
No, T2 High Mag is the asteroid again. It's just in that particular view. There aren't any stars in the background. So
okay, I just want to make sure.
The next one's coming up just now.
We have about 7 minutes left in this first broadcast. Paul Cox in the UK is commanding our telescopes in the Canary Islands, which is off the coast of Spain, off the coast of Africa, I should say. We're also with Bob Berman from Astronomy Magazine. He's with us. I'm Patrick Palucci with Slooh, and we're giving you a live presentation of Asteroid Toutatis. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. We actually have another show planned in about 6 hours and 21 minutes. You can see it counting down on the Slooh.com homepage. That feed will be coming live from Arizona, as well as we'll have Paul will be tracking a few other asteroids from the Canary Islands. So we'll actually have more asteroids you can look at tonight, along with all three of us doing the broadcast. If you do have questions and they didn't get answered, there's a lot of people in the conversation box posting a lot of stuff. Please come back for tonight, and we'll try to answer some of the questions that were posted with this particular event. On Slooh, we have shows usually weekly, weather permitting. We'll put shows out to the public for free just on the homepage. You can come back at any time, or you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and those things, and we'll keep you updated on our next events. We do a lot of fun stuff too, whether it's in the solar system or comets, asteroids, even deep sky stuff. So we do a lot of different stuff for these types of events. Last word on the membership program, please consider it. Just go to Slooh.com, click that membership link. You will get a special offer today. It's only today only. It's a special telescope from Meade. We will make sure it arrives. It says 6 to 8 weeks on that poster, but we're going to make sure we get it to you prior to the holiday. You must ship to a U.S. residence though in order to get it out. and you'd also have to pay for shipping and handling for that, which I believe is $24.95 for that particular telescope. So please consider that, because you do a lot of cool stuff. You know, you get to command the scopes from the Canary Islands, you get to interact with a worldwide audience, but you're also supporting this type of program that we provide free.
Actually,
Bob,
Pat, with the telescope, there's a great little thing coming up. Saturn is just reappearing in our dawn skies, and I think on the Slooh YouTube channel, we've got a little demonstration of that telescope. It's great fun just having the back garden, and it would show planets and the moon up, really well. So Saturn's coming back, and Jupiter's even better at the moment. So, a good time to have a telescope if you haven't already got one.
Yes, actually, Jupiter is closer to Earth now, this week, than it will be again until the summer of 2021. So through the Slooh telescopes, we're seeing detail on Jupiter peering into the cloud layers. Just a fascinating planet in full color.
Absolutely.
It is.
Hey, Paul, just before I lose track of it, can you send me some images of this asteroid? Are you collecting these by chance in some other folder?
Yep.
Okay, I'll email you after the show.
Okay. No
so anyway, guys, we're down to like 4 minutes left in this broadcast. Our next broadcast is tonight. You can always come to Slooh and see it count down, but if you want an exact time, it's going to start at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. I think that's 03 UTC, which is technically 12:12. That's how it works. So, but for us in the U.S. or North America, it's 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. So please come back and check out the second show today. We're going to be covering on this live.
And Toutatis will even be closer at that time, won't it? Because, yes,
it will. And we'll have a special feed out of Arizona, which will be really cool. Also, I have so many things to talk about. We're doing some fun next week with the end of the world. So, Paul and I and Bob are cooking up some fun activities for all of us to take part in. You'll see some of them already listed on the other events on the homepage. We are going to do a solar event almost, for hours on end on the 20th. We're going to be looking for Nibiru, all these different Planet X stuff that's out there. We're going to give the public a bird's eye view to show you what's happening out there in the sky. To, really calm your nerves for those who believe in this stuff and don't trust the government. So
bring along your paranoid friends, your conspiracy friends, and we'll show you what's really up there in the unless we're in on it. I mean, you can't be sure. Maybe we're in on the conspiracy. Maybe we're not going to show. Maybe we're not really going to show it to you until it's too late.
I'm going to give out Bob's address. Bob's home address we'll be giving out during that broadcast. But anyway, so we do a lot of fun stuff here on Slooh at different times, so please come back and check it out. All right, guys. Well, Paul, thanks again for tracking this. It came in awesome. And Bob, thanks for joining this event. This was a really cool event to do. I love doing these shows, especially these asteroid ones. It's interesting stuff. Any last thoughts, Bob, before we get off?
Well, I'd say it's very exciting that all these asteroid things are happening at once. I'm looking forward to tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time, when the asteroid will even be closer. And I know the world will have rotated so that the feed will then come from Prescott Observatory in Arizona. And especially because then Paul is going to bring us some other just discovered asteroids just whizzing past Earth. And I want to remind people who may not be on tonight's show to watch the sky on Thursday night to see yet another asteroid, Phaethon, as it throws pieces of itself into our atmosphere. It's called the Geminid meteor shower, and your local time, anytime, especially after 10 p.m. and for the rest of the night, you should be able to see at least a meteor every minute or two. If you're away from the lights.
The moon's out of the way as well, Bob, for us this year, so they should be a good one.
Yeah, it should be the best meteor shower of the year, actually, and that also has a very strange object. In fact, Rob McNaught and I were talking about it, Phaethon, because meteor showers normally come from comet debris, and yet Phaethon, the parent body, is more asteroid-like than comet-like. So this is an odd week for objects, and they are going to impact Earth. So we'll be watching.
That'd be great. Well, I believe the broadcast has now been terminated on the homepage of Slooh. You're getting our what we call our recap mode right now. Please return tonight, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, for the second part of our show, live from Arizona and the Canary Islands, about this asteroid and a few others. And that is it, guys. I appreciate again your help with this event, and I'll look forward to doing it again later tonight.
Okay, see you guys later.
Good night, all.
Good night. Asteroid is, for those of you who don't know, is currently orbiting our solar system. Is that right, Bob and Mike? Do I got that right? It's in our solar system.
Orbiting the sun. Right. That's right. Orbiting the sun.
Excellent, excellent. So what we're going to be doing is we're monitoring and tracking this object live from our Canary Islands facility. If you're currently watching this in the YouTube Hangout box, either on YouTube or on Google+, the main presentation is actually on slooh.com. That's SLOOH.com. That's where you can get a lot of the live feeds. I know Paul has got, let's see here, he's screen sharing it in right now. You can see the imagery right here, but it's not going to be as clear in this environment. So what I recommend is you go to slooh.com to check it out. At times through the show, we will be bringing it in, but Paul will also be presenting himself and talking about what we're looking at. So the best place to be watching this is on slooh.com, just to give you a heads up. So if you're going to be watching it in the Hangout, you won't always see the asteroid itself. Before we get going here, we're showing this live from the Canary Islands facility. That's off the coast of Africa, for those of you who don't know where that is. And it's our own facility at slooh.com. And our members who join actually get the opportunity to control this facility to view space live. So it's Slooh's been around since 2003, and we do put on shows like this. Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I gotta do something. Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay, Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 30 seconds. Okay, everyone, we're going to start the show here in just a few seconds. Hi, everyone. This is Patrick Palucci with Slooh Space Camera. Thank you for joining us on December 11th at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. We're here to track potentially hazardous asteroid Toutatis. I want to make sure I pronounce that right. I have been practicing.
That's right. That's right.
I think I got it right. What we're going to be doing is this particular asteroid. Paul, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. Hands full, rather. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Paul.
We're live right now. I'm just counting it down, so just so you know.
Okay.
Okay. Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Slooh Space Camera show will begin in about 1 minute. Actually weekly, and in some cases daily, where we show the public what's going on out in both the solar system but deep sky. And we wanted to cover this object in particular because it's making, every 4 years it comes back in and whizzes by Earth. And it is listed as a potentially hazardous object because it could, in theory, and tell me if I'm wrong, Bob, it could hit Earth sometime down the road. You know, it might be hundreds of years from now. I guess we don't know exactly for sure. I think we're safe for now, but we wanted to definitely highlight this one because it's so big and it is relatively close to Earth. So what we're going to be doing is I want to first introduce our guests and participants in today's show. We have with us Bob Berman, longtime Slooh friend, but for those of you who subscribe to Astronomy Magazine, you might know him from all his great articles. Bob is a very... he's been with Slooh for many, many years, working with us on a lot of different projects. If you visited our Tolar Solar Eclipse broadcast, Bob was on site in Australia broadcasting in, so it's always a pleasure to have Bob on. We also have Paul Cox, who's our Slooh Outreach Coordinator. He's actually commanding the Slooh scopes right now, providing us the live feeds that you're seeing on slooh.com. So, Bob, first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about this particular asteroid? What are we looking at today, and why is it so significant?
Well, Toutatis is the one that's just passing past